Hey there, so this is just to kind of go over your review. If I was you, I would kind of double screen my screen so that way I would have this video playing and you can go through your work and kind of check and see how you're doing. So for this first question, we want to know which of the following is a true statement. So if I was solving this, I would just go through each sentence and figure out if it's true. So for every 1 cup of flour, you use 2 eggs. So if I go over here to 1 cup, go up to 2 eggs, the line is not at this point, so that is not true. For every 2 cups of flour, you use 2 eggs. Again, this is not where the line is, so that is not true. For every 4 cups of flour, you use 2 eggs. So I would say that this one is the one that is true. And you can circle it, do whatever, really just to whatever show that that one's the true one. All right, so then when I'm looking for this constant of proportionality, so remember constant of proportionality means that I take my y value, divide it by my x value, and I can do either one of those. They should give me the exact same value. So I'll just take the first row. If I take 5 divided by 4, I should end up with 1.25. And again, I took this value and divided it by this value. So that is always how you're going to find your COP, regardless of what the numbers are. All right, so when we are writing an equation, remember they always want to be in y equals mx format. Our m is our COP, or our unit rate. So I'm just going to leave that space kind of blank for now. So it's y equals whatever my unit rate is, x. So I'm going to go over to this graph, figure out where one of my points meet. If I see a point right here, I take my y value divided by my x value, and you can leave it as a fraction. So you can say y equals 1/2 x. You could also say y equals 0.5 x. So either one, if you want to do the decimal, that's great. If you want to leave it as a fraction, that's great too. But we need to have this y equals COP and then x. All right, open-ended. So explain what a graph needs to have in order to portray a proportional relationship. So you could have multiple answers. The first thing needs to pass through 0, 0. So if your graph does not, or if you can't extend the line and it would go through 0, 0. So remember we talked about it may not always show it, but if I extend my line, that should be a point it passes through. It also needs to be a straight line, so it cannot be curvy, it cannot, zigzag at all, it can't go straight and then, level off. It has to be a straight, and I'm going to even add the word diagonal line in here. So you can have a straight horizontal line, you can have a straight vertical line, has to be a straight, if I can spell the word diagonal line. All right, and the last thing, there has to be a constant of proportionality between the points. So that means for every y value, I should divide by the same number to get my x value. So really those 3 things, if you have these 2, it's almost guaranteed you'll have the third one. All right, so on this problem, Holly and Isaac buy 2 pounds of apples for $2.10 from the store. Holly says that the cost and pounds relationship can be written as C equals 220. Isaac says that Holly's equation is incorrect. What should Holly's equation be? All right, so remember our equations are going to be in y equals mx format. So this mx format, the y and x can be any letters that we need them to be. So the y equals can be switched for c equals, m is going to be our number, and our x is now p. So that all is okay. But what we're going to figure out is whether this 220 is our unit rate or not. So if you say, okay, it's not because it's 210, if you notice this 210 is for 2 apples. In our COP, our unit rate has to be per 1. So if I want per 1 apple, if I took 2 divided by 2 is 1, I need to do 210 divided by 2, I end up with $1.05 for my unit rate. I'm going to plug this $1.05 right in here. So I should end up with C equals 1.05p. Alright, so if we have a 39-foot tall flagpole, 15-foot shadow, man standing next to it has a 3.5 shadow, how tall is the man? So again, this is what we talked about on Monday. So I know that I have a height of a flagpole and a shadow of a flagpole. And I'm not going to include my units just because it's really hard to write on here. So we know that is equal. And I'm going to put this shadow length right next to this original shadow I had here. So remember, they should be directly across from each other. And I am solving for x. That's what I do not know. I do not know how tall this man is. So remember, to solve these, you're going to cross multiply and divide. So if I multiply across, 39 times 3.5 is, 39 times 3.5 is 136.5. If I divide that by 15, apparently I have a 9.1 foot tall man. Very tall, really not realistic, but math-wise, that is true. So our man is 9.1 feet tall. All right, how many cupcakes can the baker make in 1 hour? So again, if I look here, 1 hour is not exactly on the line. So if we want to make sure we are absolutely correct, I'm going to look for which point is on the line and look for that unit rate, because the unit rate is when x is 1. So if we go to the next point, 20 divided by 2 is right here. 20 divided by 2 is 10. So every hour that baker is making 10 cupcakes, and if you notice, that kind of makes sense. So 1 is 10, 2 is 20, 3 would be 30, 4 is 40, and so on and so forth. All right, how many teaspoons of sprinkles will be needed for 12 scoops of ice cream? So there are multiple ways that you can solve this. I think the easiest way would be if I just make these two into proportions. So if I kind of just take these two boxes, and again, we're going to cross multiply and divide. 12 times 12 is 144. 144 divided by 9 gives us 16. If you also notice, there's a little bit of a pattern here. 3, 6, 9, 12, 4, 8, 12, 16. So every 3, we gain 4 sprinkles. Did I put the same one in twice? Sorry. All right, so hopefully you still got the answer is 16 there. All right, what is the constant of proportionality? Again, I would always use one where they give you the numbers. That way you know you are dividing correctly. So 250 divided by 10 right here. 250 divided by 10 should give us 25. And that's it. You just take your y value, your up and down, divide it by whatever your corresponding x value is. So we should have 25 right here. And that is it. So hopefully this video helped kind of explain the setup a little bit. You guys do have a quiz tomorrow. If you're still feeling lost on this, let me know. Otherwise, have a good night and good luck on your quiz tomorrow.